At the farthest reaches of known space lay the planet Elysia, home to the mysterious Valorians, a race of alien women renowned for their captivating beauty and exceptional abilities. The Valorians were known as fearless warriors with an unapproachable nature, which made many interstellar travelers hesitant to explore their world. However, their advanced technology and abundant resources made them a subject of great intrigue. Captain Marcus Drayton was an experienced explorer and diplomat, always drawn to the unknown. His curiosity about the Valorians had only grown over the years, fueled by legends and stories of their superiority. Unlike others, Marcus believed that understanding and diplomacy could overcome any barrier. His latest mission was to establish contact with the Valorians, a task no one else had dared to undertake. Marcus prepared meticulously for this mission. His ship, the Horizon, was equipped with the latest technology, and he had spent months studying Valorian culture and language. As he approached Elysia, he couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. As soon as Marcus entered Valorian space, his ship was immediately intercepted by a patrol. The Valorian leader, a tall and imposing figure named Seraphina, appeared before him as a holographic projection. Her emerald green eyes studied Marcus intently. "You have entered Valorian territory without permission, human. State your purpose," Seraphina demanded. Marcus took a deep breath and replied in a steady voice, "I am Captain Marcus Drayton. I have come to initiate a peaceful dialogue between our peoples." Seraphina hesitated for a moment before granting him permission to land. Upon disembarking from his ship, Marcus was escorted to the Valorian palace. The palace, with its advanced architecture and grandeur, left Marcus in awe. As he walked through the corridors, he felt the watchful eyes of the Valorians upon him, but his attention remained fixed on the extraordinary beauty and majesty of the surroundings. Marcus was led through the magnificent corridors of the palace to the council chamber, where the leaders awaited him. As the massive doors to the chamber opened, he stepped inside, immediately struck by its splendor. The high ceilings, intricately carved walls, and the large round table in the center all caught his eye. Around the table sat the most esteemed leaders of Valorian society, their gazes fixed on Marcus. Seraphina stepped forward gracefully to greet him. Her emerald eyes reflected a calm but authoritative leader. "Captain Drayton," she said, her voice both gentle and firm. "This is the Valorian Council. Each of these distinguished members represents a different aspect of our society, and they have gathered here to hear you. But first, please tell us about yourself." Marcus hesitated briefly before speaking earnestly. "I am Captain Marcus Drayton. I have dedicated my life to interstellar exploration and diplomacy. I believe that by building bridges between different species and cultures, our peoples can better understand and learn from one another." As he looked around the table at the leaders, he continued, "I believe the wisdom and technology of the Valorians offer much for humanity to learn. Similarly, we have knowledge and experiences to share with you. Our collaboration could create great opportunities for both our futures." Seraphina listened intently to Marcus's words, and the council members were equally focused on every word he spoke. As Marcus finished, the council members began murmuring among themselves, their expressions a mix of curiosity and cautious evaluation. Noticing this, Seraphina raised her hand in a gentle but commanding gesture, quieting the room. When silence was restored, she turned back to Marcus with a slight smile. "Such openness and sincerity are rare, Captain Drayton," she said. "I appreciate your words. However, earning the trust of the Valorian people is not easy. Before we explore what we can achieve together, you must first pass through certain trials of trust. The council members nodded in agreement with Seraphina's words, and it was clear that a long and challenging path lay ahead for Marcus. The room was filled with the potential for cooperation, but Marcus knew he would need to prove his determination and skills to make that potential a reality. After listening carefully to Seraphina's words, Marcus took a deep breath and spoke with resolve. I am willing to do whatever it takes to earn the trust of the Valorian people and build a lasting bridge between our races. I believe our cooperation will greatly benefit both of us. His sincerity softened the atmosphere in the room, and a silent wave of approval passed among the council members. Seeing Marcus's determination, Seraphina regarded him thoughtfully. Your courage and dedication are commendable, Captain Drayton, she said, with a hint of respect in her eyes. We will give you a chance. But to earn the trust of the Valorian people, you will need to undergo certain trials. These trials will test your resolve, courage, and commitment to this alliance. As Seraphina's decision was met with nods of approval from the council, it was clear that Marcus was about to embark on a difficult but potentially rewarding journey. Upon hearing about the trials from Seraphina, Marcus paused, recalling the stories he had heard. The reputation of these trials had spread to the far corners of the galaxy. He knew they were a rigorous process, testing physical, mental, and emotional endurance. Each trial would not only be a test of earning the Valorian people's trust, but also of Marcus pushing his own limits. Though the thought made him a bit anxious, he knew he had no other choice. Turning back was not an option. Passing these trials was a necessary step toward building the bridge he aimed to create. Steeling himself against his inner doubts, he looked at Seraphina with a determined expression, signaling his readiness. After learning that the trials would begin at dawn, Marcus followed Seraphina through the palace's inner corridors to the room prepared for him. As he stepped into the spacious, calming atmosphere of the room, the weight of the challenges ahead began to settle on his shoulders. He thought through the physical obstacles, mental tests, and emotional trials that awaited him, each designed to push him to his limits. He knew how crucial each trial would be in earning the trust of the Valorian people. In the quiet of the night, he mentally prepared himself for the challenges that would come with the first light of morning. As he braced himself for the arduous journey ahead, a mixture of apprehension and determination settled in his heart. As dawn's first light touched the stone walls of the Valorian palace, Marcus emerged from his room, filled with inner resolve. The tension of the night before was behind him. In the garden, Seraphina awaited him, her demeanor graceful but serious in the morning's cool air. Her eyes held both caution and admiration. Your first trial begins now, Marcus, she said, her voice calm but commanding. This trial will test your physical strength and combat skills. You will face one of our best warriors in the arena. Marcus listened carefully to Seraphina's words and then nodded in acknowledgement. He understood the gravity of the challenge ahead. This was not just a battle, but a chance to prove himself in the eyes of the Valorians. Taking a deep breath, he mentally and physically prepared himself for the confrontation in the arena. Guided by Seraphina, he took the first step on his journey to earning the respect of the Valorians. As Marcus stepped into the arena, he carefully sized up his opponent. The Valorian warrior standing before him was tall, muscular, and agile. His eyes were sharp, and his movements exuded confidence. His armor bore the marks of battles fought, a testament to his experience. This warrior's strength and skill presented a formidable challenge for Marcus. The duel began with the echo of a gong resonating through the arena. His opponent wasted no time, launching an aggressive and determined attack. Marcus relied on his reflexes, deflecting blows and launching counterattacks. The battle was intense, a vigorous exchange of energy and strength from both sides. Despite the warrior's speed and power, Marcus remained calm, responding with calculated strikes. The clash of swords rang out across the arena, each blow highlighting the grueling nature of the fight. As the minutes ticked by, the duel grew even more exhausting. Both combatants were pushing their limits, yet Marcus managed to keep up with his opponent, landing a few effective strikes of his own. Just as the battle reached its peak, Serafina raised her hand, signaling the end of the duel. His opponent, breathing heavily, stepped back and approached Marcus with a respectful gaze. "You fought well, Marcus," he said, his voice carrying a tone of admiration. "Your effort is commendable." Marcus accepted the warrior's praise with gratitude, feeling a deep sense of relief and accomplishment for having successfully completed the challenge. When the duel concluded, Serafina approached Marcus, her voice calm, as she said, "You have passed the first trial successfully." She then led Marcus to the second trial. As they moved deeper into the palace, they arrived at a grand hall filled with Valorian cultural artifacts and intricate puzzles. In the center of the room stood a complex puzzle device that emitted a faint, mysterious glow. Serafina stood before the device and explained its significance. "This device is a symbolic structure that carries the history and legacy of Valoria," she said, her eyes focused on the device. "Within it lies hidden wisdom and power, representing the deepest knowledge of our people. Your task is to solve this puzzle and uncover the secret within it before the sun sets." Marcus approached the device, feeling the weight of the challenge ahead. Every piece was intricately designed, with complex symbols etched into its surface. Solving it would require not only intelligence, but also patience and intuition. Serafina gave Marcus one last reassuring look before leaving him to work alone in the hall. Marcus took a deep breath and began the task, fully aware that the Valorian people's trust depended on his ability to unlock the secrets hidden within the device. Standing before the intricate puzzle device, Marcus examined it carefully. He started by studying the symbols and patterns on its surface, realizing that each one held a specific meaning. His fingers traced the edges of the device, finding small grooves and notches that hinted at how the pieces might move. With patience, he began to manipulate the parts, cautiously turning and shifting them as he tried to decipher the device's inner workings. As the hours passed, Marcus slowly started to understand the mechanisms of the puzzle. Some parts clicked together, while others required a specific sequence to move. Occasionally, a wrong move would trigger a soft vibration from the device, signaling an error. But each mistake taught Marcus something new, helping him to refine his approach. His mind was fully immersed in the complex design, and he progressed steadily, step by step. As the sun began to dip low in the sky, signaling that time was running out, Marcus placed the final piece into its slot. The device emitted a soft glow, and with a quiet click, it slowly opened, revealing the secret it had guarded so carefully. He had done it. Inside, a glowing crystal pulsed with energy, a symbol of the Valorian people's deep wisdom and power. At that moment, Serafina re-entered the hall, her steps silent as she approached Marcus. A gentle smile crossed her face as she spoke. "Congratulations, Marcus. You've demonstrated intelligence, patience, and determination. You have successfully completed the second trial." Her words carried both approval and respect. She then looked at him with a serious expression and added, "Now, it's time for the third and final trial, the most challenging of all." Understanding the gravity of what lay ahead, Marcus mentally prepared himself for the final test. The trials had tested his body, mind, and spirit, but he knew that the ultimate challenge would require even more from him. However, his resolve had only grown stronger with each trial, and he was determined to see this through to the end. After completing the second trial, Marcus returned to his room, guided once again by Seraphina. The weight of the day's challenges, along with the anticipation of what was to come, hung heavily on him as he entered the room. He laid down on the soft bed, letting his tired body sink into it. Staring up at the ceiling, he reflected on everything he had endured so far. The physical battle of the first trial had tested his endurance and courage, while the second trial had challenged his intellect and patience. But he knew that the final trial would be the most difficult of all. As he reviewed the journey he had taken, Marcus thought about the progress he had made in earning the Valorians' trust and how critical the path ahead was. His mind began to strategize for the final trial, even as his body succumbed to exhaustion. Slowly, he closed his eyes, allowing himself a brief rest to recover both physically and mentally. Tomorrow, with the first light of dawn, he would face the ultimate challenge, and he needed to be ready. With the dawn's first light, Marcus emerged from his room and met with Seraphina. Her expression was serious, reflecting the importance of the task ahead. Together with a small team, she escorted Marcus to the edge of the most dangerous and mysterious part of Valoria, the shadowed forest. A thick mist rose from within the forest, hinting at the dangers that lay within. Seraphina turned to Marcus and explained his final mission. Deep within this forest lies a relic of great significance to the Valorian people. Your task is to retrieve this relic and return it safely. Marcus nodded, fully grasping the seriousness of her words, and then set off toward the forest's dark entrance. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the journey grew increasingly perilous. The towering trees allowed almost no light to penetrate, leaving him with only a few steps of visibility. The forest was filled with natural hazards, sudden sinkholes, slippery rocks, and eerie sounds that kept him on high alert. At one point, thorny vines sprang from the ground, wrapping around his legs, but he quickly reacted and freed himself. Along the way, he encountered wild and aggressive creatures, each testing his courage and survival skills. But Marcus, driven by his determination, overcame these dangers one by one. As Marcus continued deeper into the forest, he relied on his instincts and the guidance Seraphina had provided. After hours of arduous travel, he finally reached the darkest part of the forest, where he spotted a faint glow, the relic. However, reaching the relic was no easy task. A narrow, precarious bridge led to the relic's resting place, with a sheer drop beneath it, where wild beasts lurked, their hungry eyes fixed on him, waiting for a misstep. As Marcus stepped onto the bridge, he knew that each step had to be precise and cautious. The bridge swayed dangerously, creaking with every move, which only agitated the beasts below. His heart pounded as he focused on maintaining his balance. At one point, his foot nearly slipped, and the growls from below reminded him just how close the danger was. Despite the peril, Marcus remained composed, inching forward one careful step at a time. Finally, he reached the platform where the relic rested. He carefully retrieved it, feeling a surge of triumph. But the journey wasn't over. He still had to cross back over the same treacherous bridge. With the relic securely in hand, he began his return, each step accompanied by the menacing sounds of the creatures below. Determined not to falter, he moved steadily, and at last he stepped onto solid ground, relief washing over him. Marcus had successfully completed the final trial, retrieving the relic and safely returning with it. The Valorian leaders and people, now fully aware of his skills and determination, could no longer deny their respect for him. He had passed every test and earned their trust. Serafina and the council members congratulated Marcus, acknowledging his achievements and expressing their readiness to begin formal negotiations. In the grand negotiation hall of the palace, the first significant meeting between the Valorians and humans took place. Marcus sat at the head of the table, alongside the Valorian leaders, as they discussed cooperation and partnership between the two races. Both sides approached these negotiations with deep respect and seriousness, recognizing the courage and sincerity Marcus had shown throughout the trials. As the talks progressed, agreements were reached on joint research projects, trade deals, and cultural exchange programs. Reflecting on all the challenges he had faced, Marcus realized that each trial was not only a test of gaining the Valorians' trust, but also a demonstration of humanity's commitment to this alliance. The lessons he had learned through these trials had strengthened him, not just as a diplomat, but as a bridge between two worlds. When the negotiations concluded, Marcus left the hall having earned the respect and friendship of the Valorians. A new era had begun between humans and Valorians, an alliance that would shape the future of the galaxy and prove that both peoples had much to learn from one another.